Well, the rising cost of living in Canada is making it difficult more and more for many to get there to their day-to-day activities, with gas prices hitting new heights and grocery bills skyrocketing, not to mention turbulence in the markets. It's many concerned about the road ahead. To discuss this further is Elke Rubach, president of Rubach Wealth. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Andrew, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, but not everybody's doing well. A lot of people are struggling with the price of everything. So what are you hearing from people?
Well, I think there's a lot of misinformation flying around and very little that people can control unless they control themselves. We're just sort of coming out of a pandemic. We are in the middle of a very complicated Russia-Ukraine conflict. Supply chains have been disrupted. And, we hear these words, inflation and interest rates and the Bank of Canada and all these things that people may or may not know exactly how they affect them, but everybody is panicking. And that's not the way to go.
It's not the way to go, but it's just the normal thing that everybody does when the prices start to go up. So how is this affecting young people in particular?
Well, I think it affects everyone, right? But there's this idea of, I want to buy a house, I want to live in Toronto, I want to do all these things. I think the most important thing is to understand that you can't control what's happening outside. What you can control is yourself. Understand your budget, understand how much money you're making and how you're spending your money, then divide it, and money that is discretionary spend, figure out if there are ways that you can save. Sometimes, maybe you can't go to that organic grocery store, or maybe you can cut back dining out. A little bit of awareness is very important, particularly for the young generation, to make sure that their decisions today have a better and not a worse impact in the future.
All right, so what other financial advice do you have for Canadians trying to protect themselves from inflation as the cost of living continues to rise?
Well, I think the first thing is to stop and realize that it's important to have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, you're probably just navigating with your eyes closed. Have a plan, understand what you want to do, how you're spending your money, and crucial things like paying off expensive debt first, transferring, refinancing, looking at your current mortgage, running different scenarios. Can I afford my mortgage now that the interest rates are rising? Or should I start talking to the bank and refinance it? Not just run and refinance it, because there are costs of breaking mortgages, but it's kind of like think about the options and figure out what's best for you. And you can only do one thing at a time, right? And if you don't know how to do it, reach out. There are financial advisors who can help. Your bank might help you. And just, hiding from the problem and getting worried about it is not going to help anyone or make the situation better. It's really getting in front of the problem and figuring out, because in many cases we've seen that people are not as worse off as they thought they were.
So not to panic. Don't press the panic button. Just calm down. Pull back on a few things and you'll be just fine.
Absolutely. And the other thing, too, is if you're tracking the stock exchange every single day, what I would invite people to think about is, are you invested in the right risk level? Or should you switch it a bit? But those who are panicking and pulling out of the market right now are just locking in a loss. And that's a bad idea.
Okay, great advice. Thank you so much. That's Elke Rubach, president of Rubach Wealth. Thanks for your time.